I went to look for my jewelry in the safe and found nothing. My daughter-in-law looked at me and said, "Mother-in-law, we donated everything. You don't need that anymore." I looked at her calmly and replied, "You're right, I don't need them anymore, but you are going to need a lawyer." The color drained from her face. My hands trembled as I turned the combination dial. 3 turns to the right, 2 to the left, 1 more to the right. The same code I'd used for 30 years. Click. The metallic sound echoed in the silence of the closet. The door swung open. Empty. The emerald earrings from my 20th birthday, my mother's pearl necklace, the gold bracelets from each of my children's births, the diamond ring for my first granddaughter. 30 years of love. Gone. My knees buckled. I clung to the doorframe, the air knocked out of my lungs. How? No one knew the combination. No one except, "Are you looking for something? Mother-in-law?" Valerie's voice was calm behind me, almost amused. I turned around slowly. There she was, leaning against my bedroom doorway with that smile that never reached her eyes. "My jewels. They're not there." Valerie crossed her arms and nodded. "Oh, right. The jewelry." My blood ran cold. "Do you know where they are?" She sighed. "We donated everything. You don't need that stuff anymore." Donated. What do you mean you donated it?" The words came out in a whisper. They were mine. They were all I had left of my husband, Ernest. Valerie shrugged. "They're just material things, mother-in-law. You always say it's what's in the heart that matters, right? Besides, at your age, what do you need jewelry for? You never go anywhere." My vision blurred. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I wouldn't give her that satisfaction. I took a deep breath, once, twice, and with a calm I didn't know I possessed, I looked her straight in the eye. "You're right, Valerie. I don't need those jewels anymore." I saw her triumphant smile return. "But you—" I took a step toward her. "You are going to need a lawyer." The color drained from her face as if a mask had been ripped away. For the first time in months, I saw her speechless. And in that moment, I knew the war had just begun, because I was not the confused old woman she thought I was. I had been married to a lawyer for 40 years. I had raised 4 children. I had built a life from nothing, and no one was going to steal the last pieces of my history without paying the price. Valerie took a step back. "Mother-in-law." I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, you don't know yet, but you will, very soon." I walked out of the bedroom, leaving her pale and trembling, because that afternoon I made the most important call of my life, a call that would change everything. What do you think I did next? Call the police, confront my son. The truth is much more shocking. To understand how I got to this point, I have to take you back 3 years, to the worst day of my life. The day I buried Ernest. It was March, a gray Tuesday that smelled of damp earth and white flowers. I was wearing the black dress he always said made me look elegant, 42 years together, and a massive heart attack snatched him away from me one random morning as we were having breakfast and planning our next trip to Florida. I never even got to say goodbye. The first few months were a silent hell. This house, which once vibrated with life, became a museum of memories that suffocated me. His coffee cup at the table, his armchair in front of the TV, his scent on the pillows I refused to wash. My 4 children came to visit. Lauren lived in Denver, Charles in Nashville, Patricia in Austin, and Robert. Robert was the only one who lived here in Chicago, my youngest son, my baby. Robert was always the most sensitive one. He called every 2 days. He spent Sundays with me. He brought me my favorite pastries. And one day, 6 months after the funeral, he arrived with someone. "Mom, I'd like you to meet Valerie." She was beautiful. Long dark hair, a perfect smile, eyes that seemed sincere. She held a bouquet of sunflowers. "Mrs. Beatrice, it's an honor to meet you. Robert has told me so much about you. I am so sorry for your loss. And God forgive me, I felt hope. I was so naive." In the following months, Valerie became a fixture in my home. She helped in the kitchen. She walked with me to the market. She made me feel like I wasn't alone. When Robert announced they were getting married, I cried with happiness. The wedding was simple but beautiful. I helped pay for part of the reception. And then the proposal came. Mother-in-law Valerie said one afternoon over coffee, "You're all alone in this big house. We're renting a tiny apartment. What would you think if we moved in with you? That way we can keep you company." My heart leaped. Company not being alone, waking up and hearing voices again. "It would be temporary," Robert added. "Just until we save up for our own place." "What do you say, Mom?" I said yes without a second thought. 2.5 years ago, Robert and Valerie moved in. At first, it was perfect. Valerie cooked. We watched movies on Fridays. Robert grilled on Sundays, just like Ernest used to. I felt alive again. But the changes started subtly, like poison, dripped one drop at a time. First, it was the living room. "This furniture is so old. What if we redecorate?" I agreed. After all, it was just furniture. Then the kitchen. "These cabinets are falling apart. We need to renovate everything." Then came the suggestions about my clothes, my friends from my club, my decisions. "No, mother-in-law, you shouldn't buy that. It's an unnecessary expense." And I, like a fool, listened, because I was afraid they would leave and I would be alone again, because Valerie always said it with a smile. The biggest blow came when she offered to help with my finances. "You shouldn't have to worry about paying bills and dealing with paperwork. Let me handle it. I just need you to sign here so I can manage the account." And I signed. I didn't know I had just handed her the keys to my own destruction. Little by little, this house stopped being mine. Decisions were made without consulting me. My opinion no longer mattered. That vase Ernest brought me from our trip to Santa Fe disappeared. The paintings my sister gave me were gifted away. My grandmother's china was donated because it was clutter. And when I protested, Valerie would look at me with pity. "You're getting so difficult. Don't cling to the past so much." Robert never said a word. He worked all day, came home tired, and when I tried to talk to him, he'd say, "Mom, Valerie is right. Don't worry about these things anymore. My other children tried to warn me. Mom, that woman is controlling you. Don't you see it? Lauren told me on the phone. But I defended her. Valerie is just helping me." "Don't be unfair." Lauren shook her head over the phone. "Someday you'll regret this, Mom." And she was right. What if the betrayal came from my own son living with Valerie was like walking barefoot on broken glass? Every single day. And the worst part was, no one else saw it. To the outside world, she was the perfect daughter-in-law. But within these four walls, the truth was something else entirely. The mornings became my nightmare. I always woke up early. My routine was sacred. Up at 6, make coffee, listen to the news. But Valerie decided I made too much noise. "Mother-in-law, could you maybe have breakfast later, or at least not make so much noise? I need my sleep." Noise. She called my life noise. So I started having breakfast in silence, barely breathing, feeling like a thief in my own kitchen. The aroma of coffee filled the cold morning air. I sipped slowly, afraid that even the sound of the cup on my lips was too loud. The control over my money got worse every week. One day I wanted to buy a gift for my granddaughter Sarah. It was her 12th birthday, and I always got her something special. I went to get cash from my wallet. Empty. I looked for my debit card. It wasn't there either. "Valerie, have you seen my card?" She looked up from her phone, annoyed. "I have it." "Mother-in-law, remember I'm managing the expenses now. What do you need it for?" "I want to buy Sarah a gift." Valerie sighed. "We already got her something from the whole family. You don't need to be spending extra, mother-in-law. But I always get her something special. Mother-in-law, at your age, you don't need to be spending on whims. Why do you want to spoil the girl I just stood there feeling small? Useless." That day I couldn't buy my granddaughter a gift. When I went to her party, I arrived empty-handed for the first time in 12 years. The look on Sarah's face when she asked, "Grandma, where's my present?" still breaks my heart. My friends from the book club were the next victims. Every Thursday, we met at my friend Linda's house. We'd talk about books, about our lives. It was the only thing keeping me sane. But Valerie started sabotaging every outing. "Are you going out again?" "Look how cloudy it is. You'll catch a cold. You should just stay home today. I have to go out and I can't leave you alone." Those women just fill your head with gossip. At first I tried to resist. "Valerie, I've been taking care of myself for 68 years. Don't be stubborn, mother-in-law. I'm just worried about you." But then came the low blow. One afternoon, Linda called me worried. "Beatrice, are you okay?" Valerie called me and said, "You can't come out anymore because your health is fragile." I was frozen. "What, Linda?" "I'm perfectly fine. She said you're forgetting things, that you get confused, that the doctor recommended you don't go out alone." I felt the floor open up beneath me. Valerie was telling my friends I was losing my mind. When I confronted her, she looked at me with innocent eyes. "Oh, mother-in-law, it was just a misunderstanding. I only told them we should take better care of you." But the damage was done. My friends started treating me with pity. I stopped going to the meetings. And then came the ultimate humiliation. One Saturday, I wanted to go to the beauty salon just to get my hair done to feel human again. I asked Valerie for some money. She laughed in my face. "The beauty salon. What for, mother-in-law? You don't go out anymore. It's a waste of money. I just want to feel good about myself. At your age, those things don't matter anymore. Besides, we need to save." She looked me up and down with disdain. "If you want, I can cut your hair for you right here, for free. I will never forget that humiliation." Ernest always told me I was the most elegant woman he knew. He bought me perfumes. He took me out to dinner. He made me feel beautiful even in my 60s. And now his son's wife was telling me it wasn't worth it to even do my hair. But the worst part was Robert. He said nothing. My son had become a ghost. He came home late from work, ate in silence, locked himself in his room. When I tried to talk to him alone, Valerie would always appear. "What are you two talking about? Any secrets?" And Robert would just bow his head. One night I found him alone in the backyard. I sat next to him and gathered my courage. "Robert, honey, I need to talk." He didn't look at me. "What is it, Mom?" "It's Valerie. The way things are here, I feel like this isn't my home anymore." Robert tensed up. "Mom, don't start. Valerie just wants to help you." "Help me, Robert. She took my money. She forbids me from seeing my friends." "Enough," he shouted. "Mom, you're exaggerating everything. Valerie is at her wit's end with you. Do you have any idea how much she sacrifices to live here?" I was speechless. My own son was defending her. "Robert?" "No, Mom. You're the problem. You cling to the past. You don't accept change. You make Valerie feel bad all the time." He got up and left me there alone in the yard, crying in silence. But I saw something flash in his eyes before he left. Doubt, guilt. It was gone so fast, I thought I imagined it. That night I understood something terrible. I had no allies. I was completely alone. Valerie had won. She had turned my son against me. She had isolated me from my friends. She had taken control of my money, my decisions, my life. And I had let her, out of fear, out of loneliness, out of not wanting to admit that the woman my son loved was actually a snake. But I still didn't know how far she was willing to go. The worst was just beginning. After discovering the empty safe and seeing Valerie's face turn pale at my threat, I did something she never expected. I stayed quiet. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I acted. I closed my bedroom door, sat on the edge of the bed, and just breathed. Once, twice, 3 times. With trembling hands, I took out my cell phone. I looked for a name I hadn't called since Ernest's funeral. Patrick Miller, my husband's best friend, his law partner of 30 years, Robert's godfather, a man who knew every document, every property, every dollar Ernest and I had built together. The phone rang twice. "Beatrice, is that you?" His warm voice almost made me break down. "Patrick, I need your help. Are you okay? Did something happen? I'm being robbed. My own family is robbing me. Don't say anything else on the phone. Can you come to my office tomorrow at 10? Yes. Beatrice, Ernest made me promise that if you ever needed help, I'd be there. We'll sort this out tomorrow." I hung up and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. The next morning I told Valerie I had a doctor's appointment. She didn't even look up from her phone. "Do you need me to come with you?" "No." "I'll take a cab. Well, don't be back too late." As if I needed her permission to leave my own house. Patrick's office was in the same downtown building it had always been in. I went up to the fourth floor, my heart pounding. He greeted me with a hug that made me feel safe for the first time in years. "Sit down, Beatrice. Tell me everything." And I did. I told him about the missing jewelry, about the control over my money, about how Valerie managed my bank account, about the daily humiliation, about Robert becoming a stranger. Patrick listened in silence, taking notes. His brow furrowed deeper and deeper. When I finished, he took off his glasses. "Beatrice, this is financial elder abuse. According to the state penal code, it's fraud and possibly domestic economic violence. Can I do something?" "We can do a lot, but I need you to authorize an investigation. Do you trust me with my life? Give me a week." That week was the longest of my life. The days crawled by. The ticking of the living room clock hammered at my temples. Every time Valerie entered a room, I held my breath. At home, I acted like nothing was wrong. I smiled when Valerie gave me orders. I nodded when she told me what to eat, what to watch, what to do. I became the submissive old woman she wanted me to be, but inside I was a storm of rage. 7 days later, Patrick called. "Come in tomorrow. I have information." This time when I arrived, there was a thick folder on his desk. "Sit down, Beatrice. This isn't going to be easy." He opened the folder and pulled out several documents. First, the jewelry. I hired a private investigator. They weren't donated. My heart lurched. Where are they? In a pawn shop on the south side. Pawned in the name of Valerie Ramirez. How much? For $35,000. $35,000. Ernest's emeralds. My mother's pearls. 40 years of memories turned into cash. There's more. He slid some bank statements across the desk. "I checked your account activity since you gave Valerie access." His finger pointed to highlighted figures. Constant withdrawals, transfers, excessive purchases. How much I asked, though. I was terrified of the answer. Patrick looked me straight in the eye. A total of $89,000. Almost $1 million. The world stopped spinning. 1,000,000 pesos. The U.S. equivalent of nearly $90,000. Money Ernest and I had scrimped and saved for. Money from my pension. From the sale of that plot of land upstate. Stolen. Patrick, can I get it back? He nodded. Yes. But we have to do this right. If you confront her now, she could destroy evidence, transfer what's left, manipulate Robert into saying you gave her permission. So what do I do? We keep gathering evidence. In the meantime, he pulled out another set of papers. Let's review your legal standing. For the next hour, Patrick explained something I didn't know. Ernest had left the house solely in my name in his will. There was no co-ownership, no heirs until after my death. The house was 100% mine. Valerie has no legal claim to this property whatsoever, Beatrice. You can ask them to leave at any time. We also reviewed the bank accounts. This was a mistake. You never should have given her access. But we can still fix it. We are going to open a new account, in your name only, and we are going to transfer what's left before she realizes it. What if she gets angry? Let her get angry. It's your money. Patrick. I left that office with a plan Valerie would never see coming. The fresh city air filled my lungs. For the first time in years, I walked with my head held high. I opened the new bank account the next day. I transferred the $21,000 that was still left before Valerie could touch it. I got copies of all the statements. I had the investigator photograph the jewelry at the pawn shop. And I started recording. My cell phone became my secret weapon. I'd casually leave it on the table during conversations. I recorded Valerie telling a friend on the phone, "I've almost convinced Robert to get the old woman to sign over power of attorney. After that, we can do whatever we want." I recorded her yelling, "This house needs a complete overhaul. I'm not going to live in a museum." I recorded Robert asking, "What if Mom finds out?" And her answer, she won't find out. She can barely think straight anymore. Each recording was a knife in my heart. But it was also ammunition. Patrick taught me to be patient, to wait for the perfect moment. We can't move yet. We need more. We need her to get so confident that she makes a final irreversible mistake. And then one night I heard something that changed everything. But before that, the day that truly broke me arrived. September 23rd, my birthday. For 68 years, that date had been a reason to celebrate. Ernest always woke me up with flowers. My children would fill the house with calls and cards, but this year was different. It was my first birthday, without Ernest. On the morning of the 23rd, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. Robert had already left for work. Valerie was still asleep. I waited. I made coffee. I sat watching the clock. 8 o'clock passed, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. No one said a thing. At 11, Valerie came out of her room scrolling on her phone. "Morning, mother-in-law. Morning," I replied, waiting. But she just poured herself some juice and sat down to eat, never looking up. Nothing. Not a happy birthday, not a hug, nothing. I swallowed the lump in my throat. The coffee had gone cold in my cup. It tasted bitter, bitter, like my life at that moment. At 3 in the afternoon, Valerie was on the phone. Yes, come over around 7. Bring snacks. It's going to be great." My heart leaped. A party. Were they throwing me a surprise party? God, what a fool I was. At 6, Valerie found me in the living room. "Mother-in-law, some friends of mine are coming over in a little while. Could you maybe stay in your room? We're going to be a bit loud." I froze. "Your friends? Valerie, today is my birthday." She blinked. "Oh, that's right. Happy birthday, mother-in-law." And she went back to tidying the living room. "Valerie, I thought that—" "What did you think?" The words got stuck in my throat. "Nothing. Forget it." "Well then, can you help me with the snacks?" And there I was in my own home on my birthday preparing food for the friends of the woman who was robbing me blind. At 7, they started to arrive. 5 women, loud, heavily made up, carrying wine. Valerie greeted them with big hugs. "This is my mother-in-law, Beatrice. Mother-in-law, say hello, and then you can go up to your room if you want to rest." She said it as if I were a piece of furniture in the way. But I didn't go. Something inside me refused to hide on my own birthday. I sat in a corner, invisible. They played music, opened bottles, laughed. Nobody spoke to me. I was just there in the blue dress Ernest gave me, feeling like a ghost in my own life. And then I heard the conversation that shattered me. Valerie was in the kitchen with 2 of her friends. The kitchen was right behind where I was sitting. "So girl, when are you guys moving into your own place?" Valerie lowered her voice, but not enough. "Why would we? This house is going to be ours soon enough." "What?" "The old woman has already signed a bunch of papers without reading them. Robert has power of attorney. It's just a matter of time." My blood ran cold. But what about her? I've almost convinced Robert to put her in a home. He has a cousin in Nashville who runs a nice facility. It's not too expensive, and once she's there— She laughed, a cruel laugh. "Once she's there, we sell this old house. We buy something modern and keep the rest. This place is worth $800,000. Can you imagine? But Valerie, what if she refuses? "Friend, the old woman is already senile. She forgets everything. She doesn't think clearly. It'll be easy to get a doctor to certify that she needs specialized care." The 3 of them laughed. I was 10 feet away, listening to them plan the theft of my life. And the worst, the absolute worst part, was when Robert arrived. He walked in, saw the party, and greeted Valerie's friends with a smile. "Honey, come here," Valerie called him. Robert went into the kitchen, and from my corner I watched them speak in whispers. I couldn't hear clearly, but I saw Valerie point in my direction. I saw the uncomfortable look on Robert's face. I saw him nod. My son had just nodded his agreement to the plan to lock me in an assisted living facility and steal my home. Something inside me shattered in that moment. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt the last shred of love I had for the situation crumble into dust. I got up in silence. None of Valerie's friends saw me leave. They were too busy laughing and drinking my wine. Robert didn't see me either. I walked up the stairs. I closed my door. I sat on the edge of the bed, and then and only then did I let myself cry. I cried for Ernest, for my lost jewels, for my son who had chosen that woman over me, for the woman I had become, scared small, invisible. But most of all, I cried with rage. My fists clenched the bedsheets until my knuckles turned white. The fabric strained under the pressure, because downstairs people were celebrating my future disappearance, and I was up here hiding like a coward. I looked at my reflection in the vanity mirror. The woman looking back had swollen eyes. Her makeup was smeared. Her blue dress was wrinkled. She looked defeated. But then I saw something else. I saw the eyes of the woman who raised 4 children while her husband worked double shifts. I saw the hands of the woman who built a home from nothing. I saw the strength of the woman who survived the death of her husband. And I made a decision. No more. No more hiding. No more letting myself be walked all over. No more being the submissive old woman Valerie wanted. I wiped my tears. I stood up. I took out my cell phone. I dialed Patrick Miller's number. Patrick, it's Beatrice. Are you okay? It's 9 o'clock at night. I need you to speed everything up. I can't wait any longer. What happened today is my birthday, and I just overheard my daughter-in-law planning to put me in a home and steal my house with my son's complicity. There was a silence on the line. Beatrice, I am so sorry. I don't want pity. I want justice. When can we act? Patrick took a deep breath. Give me 2 weeks. I'll prepare everything. The documents, the evidence, the witnesses, and we are going to end this once and for all. 2 weeks. But I need something else. Tell me. I need my other children here. Lauren, Charles, Patricia. I need them here for what's coming. I'll arrange it. Anything else? I looked at my bedroom door. Downstairs I could hear laughter from the party. A party in my house without me on my birthday. Yes, I want Valerie to never forget the day she underestimated Beatrice Miller. When I hung up, I looked in the mirror one more time. But this time the woman looking back wasn't a victim. She was a warrior. And Valerie was about to discover that the worst mistake of her life was humiliating me on my birthday. The 2 longest weeks of my life began the morning after my birthday. I woke up with swollen eyes, but with a mental clarity I hadn't had in years. Downstairs, I heard Valerie cleaning up the remains of her party, empty bottles, dirty dishes. I went down to find her picking things up with an annoyed look on her face. Morning, mother-in-law. My friends left such a mess, didn't they? I looked at her in silence. Did you enjoy your party? She didn't even catch the sarcasm. Oh, yes, it was amazing. It's a shame you went to bed so early. I smiled, a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Yes, it's a shame. And I walked into the kitchen, but inside I was seething. That same afternoon, while Valerie was out shopping with money she didn't yet know she couldn't control, I was in Patrick's office. All right, Beatrice, this is what we have so far. He showed me the investigator's photos, my jewelry in the pawn shop, the bank statements with the withdrawals highlighted, the suspicious transfers. This is all solid evidence. But for a strong legal case, we need witnesses. People who saw the abuse, who your other children, your friends, anyone who witnessed the change in your life since Valerie arrived. I thought of Lauren, how she had warned me from the beginning. My daughter Lauren, she lives in Denver. She always knew something wasn't right. Perfect. Can you ask her to come? Yes. But I don't want Valerie to get suspicious. Patrick smiled. Then we'll create an excuse, a family pretext. That night, I called Lauren. Mom, are you okay? You almost never call this late. Honey, I need you to come visit. Did something happen? Yes, but I can't tell you over the phone. Just trust me. Can you come this weekend? There was a pause. Mom, you're scaring me. Lauren, please. I'll explain everything when you're here. But it's urgent. I'm on my way. I'll be there Friday. I also called my other 2 children. Charles would come from Nashville, Patricia from Austin. I told Valerie it was just a casual family get-together, that I missed my kids and wanted to see them all. She frowned. Why do they all need to come? Did something happen? I just want to see my family. Is there a problem? For the first time, I saw a flicker of nervousness in her eyes. No, of course not. It's your house. But I noticed how she gripped her phone a little tighter. On Friday night, Lauren arrived first. When she opened the door and saw me, her face fell. Mom, you're so thin. Are you eating okay? She hugged me tight, and I almost broke down right there. But I held back. Valerie was watching from the top of the stairs. "I'm fine, honey. I just missed you." That night, after everyone was asleep, Lauren came to my room. "Okay, Mom, tell me what's going on." And I told her everything. Every humiliation, every theft, every lie. I watched her face shift from shock to fury. That witch. Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was scared. Scared of being alone. Scared you all would think I was exaggerating. Lauren took my hands. "You are never alone, Mom. Never. And I swear that woman is going to pay for what she did to you. Oh, she's already paying. But I need your help." I explained the plan Patrick and I had prepared. "Are you sure about this, Mom? I've never been more sure of anything." Lauren nodded. "Then count on me." On Saturday, Charles and Patricia arrived, the house filled with voices, with laughter, with life again. But also with tension. Because Valerie knew something was wrong. I could see it in how she watched us, how she listened to our conversations, how she tried to control every move. The smell of the pot roast we were cooking filled the kitchen. Valerie would walk in every 5 minutes, pretending to look for something, her eyes darting around like a caged animal. That afternoon, while we were preparing the meal, I gathered my 3 children in the backyard. "I need you to listen carefully," and I told them everything again. I saw Charles, my eldest, clench his fists. That woman. And Robert knows Robert is part of the problem. He's so manipulated by her that he can't see straight anymore. Patricia, my youngest daughter, had tears in her eyes. "Mom, we're so sorry. We didn't realize. We live so far away. It's not your fault. Valerie is very clever. She knows how to hide things, but not anymore." "What do you need us to do?" Lauren asked. "I need you to be here, to be witnesses. So that when the time comes, you back up everything I'm going to say. You can count on us," Charles said firmly. "All 3 of us." But one key piece of the plan was still missing. My younger sister, Eleanor. Eleanor also lived in Denver, but she worked as a notary public. She knew the law better than anyone in the family. I called her that night. "Beatrice, what is it?" "Your daughter Lauren texted me saying I needed to come urgently. Eleanor, I need you. I need you to come and bring your legal expertise, and I need you to witness something that's going to change everything. Is it serious?" "Very serious. I'm on the first flight out tomorrow morning." Eleanor arrived on Sunday. She walked into the house as if it were a casual weekend visit. Valerie greeted her with a forced smile. "Sister-in-law, what a surprise. I didn't know you were coming." "Oh, you know, family's all in town, so I thought I'd pop in for a visit." But that night in my room, Eleanor reviewed every document Patrick had prepared. "This is solid, Beatrice. Very solid. You have family fraud under the penal code, financial abuse, misappropriation of assets. Is it enough to sue her?" "It's enough to put her in jail if you want to." The air left my lungs. "I don't want to destroy her. I just want my life back." "Then you give her a choice. Either she returns everything and leaves, or she faces the legal consequences. But you need to be strong, Beatrice. Because when you show her this, she's going to attack you with everything she has." I'm ready. And I was. Because during those 2 weeks, besides gathering my family, I did something else. I retrieved every important document for this house. The deed, Ernest's will, the property certificates, the bank titles. Everything was now stored in a safe deposit box at the bank. In my name, and mine alone. I also obtained something crucial. An updated medical certificate. Patrick sent me to a trusted geriatric specialist who ran a full battery of tests. Memory, reasoning, mental capacity. The result, Mrs. Beatrice Miller, age 68, is in full possession of her mental faculties. She shows no signs of cognitive decline or dementia. That piece of paper was pure gold, because when Valerie tried to claim I was senile, that I couldn't think straight, that I needed someone to manage my life, I would have medical proof that it was a lie. The night before the final confrontation, I couldn't sleep. I sat up in bed, looking at the photograph of Ernest on my nightstand. "Honey, tomorrow, I take back our house. I take back our dignity. And I give that woman the lesson she deserves." I could almost hear his voice. "That's my girl. Show them what you're made of." At 7 a.m. on Monday, Patrick Miller arrived at my house. Valerie saw him walk in and turned pale. "Who are you?" "Patrick Miller, attorney at law. I'm here to speak with Mrs. Beatrice Miller." "An attorney? What does she need an attorney for?" Patrick looked at her with professional coldness. "That's a matter I'll be discussing with my client. Where is she? I'm right here," I said, descending the stairs with my head held high. And for the first time in 2 years, Valerie truly saw me. Not as the submissive old lady, not as the foolish mother-in-law, but as what I had always been, the owner of this house, and the woman who was about to take it all back. Because the trap was set, the pieces were in place, and Valerie still had no idea that she was about to lose absolutely everything. Patrick and I sat in the living room. Valerie watched us from the kitchen pretending to make coffee, but her hands were shaking. Mrs. Miller, Patrick said loudly, clearly enough for Valerie to hear, "I need you to review these documents and confirm a few things." He pulled out a folder, but it wasn't the folder with the evidence. Not yet. It was a trap. "I have the updated appraisal of your property here. The house is valued at $800,000. I saw Valerie freeze in the kitchen. She was listening to every word. "I also need to confirm if you've signed any power of attorney documents recently." "No. I have never signed a power of attorney." Valerie appeared in the doorway. "Mother-in-law, what's going on here? Legal matters. Nothing that concerns you." But she tried to approach. Valerie Patrick interrupted. "This is a private conversation between my client and myself. Could you please give us a moment?" She stood there frozen. Then she nodded and went upstairs. But I knew she was listening from the landing. Perfect. Now Patrick continued in a low voice. "We need Robert to be present for the final confrontation. When does he get home from work? Around 7 tonight. Good. Are your other children ready?" "All of them. Lauren, Charles, Patricia, and my sister Eleanor. They're waiting for my signal. Then tonight's the night." Patrick stood to leave, but before he walked out, he said loudly, "Mrs. Miller, please come to my office tomorrow morning to sign the update to your will." I saw Valerie rush down the stairs as soon as Patrick closed the door. "A will. You're changing your will. It's just a routine update." But I saw the panic in her eyes, because if I changed my will, all her plans would fall apart. The rest of the day was tense. Valerie stuck to me like glue. She followed me everywhere. At 5 o'clock, Lauren, Charles, and Patricia arrived for a casual visit. "Mom, we were just in the neighborhood and wanted to say hi." Eleanor arrived minutes later. Valerie was on edge. Too many people, too many unexpected visits. "What are we celebrating?" "Nothing," Charles said coldly. "We just want to spend time with our mother. You could cut the tension with a knife." At 7 o'clock sharp, Robert came home from work. The moment he walked in, he sensed something was wrong. "What's going on? Why is everyone here?" "Son, sit down. We need to have a family talk." Valerie rushed to his side. "Robert, your mother had a lawyer here today. She's planning something. I am planning something. I need to protect my assets." Robert frowned. "Protect them from what, Mom? From those who want to steal them from me." The silence was absolute, but I saw something in Robert's eyes, a flicker of guilt, of doubt, as if a part of him already knew what was coming. Valerie let out a nervous laugh. "Mother-in-law, what are you talking about? No one wants to steal anything from you." "No." I took out my cell phone. I pressed play, and Valerie's voice filled the room. "I've almost convinced Robert to get the old woman to sign over power of attorney. After that, we can do whatever we want." Robert turned white. "What? What is that? That's your wife. On my birthday. Talking to her friends while I was sitting in that corner." I pressed play again. "The old woman has already signed a bunch of papers without reading them. Robert has power of attorney. It's just a matter of time." "That's not true," Valerie shouted. "I never said that." No, Lauren stood up furious. I pressed play again. "I've almost convinced Robert to put her in a home. He has a cousin in Nashville who runs a nice facility. It's not too expensive, and once she's there, we sell this old house. We buy something modern, and keep what's left. $800,000 this place is worth. Can you imagine?" Robert staggered to his feet. I watched as reality crashed down on him like a wave. His hands were shaking. His face was colorless. "No, it can't be. She's lying," Valerie shrieked. She edited those recordings. None of that is true. And is this a lie too? Eleanor placed the photos of the jewelry from the pawn shop on the table. The jewelry you donated. Valerie looked at the photos, and the color drained from her face. I was going to get them back. With what money, Charles threw the bank statements onto the table. With the $89,000 you stole from our mother. The numbers were right there, highlighted in yellow, impossible to deny. Transfers, withdrawals, excessive purchases, all in the name of Valerie Ramirez. Robert took the papers with trembling hands. Valerie, what is this? We needed the money, for the house, for what Robert roared. We live in my mother's house. We don't pay rent. What did we need so much money for our future? Your mother has more than enough. It's not your money, Patricia said with disgust. It never was. Valerie turned to me, fake tears in her eyes. Mother-in-law, please. I was only trying to help to manage the money properly. Help. I stood up, and my voice echoed in the room. Does help mean stealing my jewelry? Planning to put me in a home? Telling your friends I'm senile? I never said that. Yes, you did. Robert finally exploded. I heard you. The night of my mother's birthday. You were in the kitchen with your friends. You said she wasn't thinking straight anymore. And His voice broke. I saw tears stream down his cheeks. I saw his shoulders slump under the weight of his guilt. And I did nothing. He turned to me with desperate eyes. Mom, forgive me. I was a coward. I heard her say those things and I didn't defend you. I let her humiliate you. I let her steal from you. Robert, no. Yes. He knelt in front of me. I'm the worst son in the world. I failed you. I failed my father. He loved you so much. And I let this woman destroy you. Valerie tried to approach him. Robert, honey, listen to me. Don't touch me. He recoiled from her in disgust. You lied to me. You manipulated me. You made me betray my own mother. I did it for us. You did it for you. It was always for you. For your ambition. For your greed. He turned back to me. Mom, tell me what to do. Anything. I'll fix this. I took a deep breath. This was the moment. Robert, there's only one way to fix this. I looked Valerie straight in the eye. Either you return every single dollar you stole, sign a document renouncing any and all claim to my estate, and move out. Valerie's mouth fell open, incredulous. Or you face criminal charges for aggravated family fraud under the state penal code. Eleanor produced a document. 3 to 12 years in prison. That's what you're facing, Valerie. We've already consulted with several criminal lawyers. The case is airtight. Valerie swayed on her feet. No, you can't do this to me. You did this to yourself, Lauren said coldly. No one forced you to steal. I didn't steal. I was managing the family's money. There is no family. My voice cut through the air like a knife. You are not my family. You are a thief who took advantage of my loneliness. And it's over. Robert. Valerie looked at him pleading. Tell them it's not true. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. But Robert looked at her as if she were a stranger. Get out of this house. What I said, get out. I never want to see you again. Valerie started crying for real now. No, you can't do this. I love Robert. I did it all because I love him. You don't love anyone but yourself. Eleanor placed the documents in front of her. Sign. Or we call the police right now. Valerie looked at the papers, then at Robert, then at me. And then defeated, she picked up the pen. She signed every document with a shaking hand, a commitment to repay $89,000 within 60 days, a renunciation of all rights to the property of Beatrice Miller, an agreement to vacate the premises within 15 days. When she finished, she dropped the pen. Happy. Are you happy now? No. But I am at peace. Valerie stood up. She gave Robert one last look and walked upstairs. We heard her packing, drawers opening and closing, clothes being thrown into suitcases. An hour later, she came down with 2 suitcases. Robert didn't look at her. She stopped at the door. You're going to regret this one day, you old woman. No. The only one who is going to regret this is you, when you're all alone and realize you lost everything for your ambition. Valerie walked out, and I closed the door behind her, for good. But the story wasn't over, because the most important part was still to come, reclaiming what was mine, and making sure Valerie kept her word. The house felt strange after Valerie left, quiet, but not the heavy silence of the past 2 years. It was a stillness that felt clean. The air itself seemed lighter, as if the house had breathed a sigh of relief. Robert sat on the couch for hours. He didn't speak. He didn't cry. He just stared into space. My other children stayed the night. Lauren slept in her old room, Charles and Patricia in the guest rooms, and I, for the first time in years, slept through the night. No nightmares, no fear. The next morning, Robert came to my room. His eyes were red, puffy. He hadn't slept. "Mom, I don't have the words to ask for your forgiveness." I sat on the edge of the bed and gave him space to talk. "I was a coward, an idiot, a terrible son. Robert, no, Mom. Let me say it." He sat next to me. "Dad loved you with his whole soul. He respected you. He admired you. And when he died, I should have been the man who took care of you." Tears started to roll down his cheeks. "Instead, I let that woman come into your life and destroy you. I heard her humiliate you, and I said nothing. I saw her steal from you, and I looked the other way. I even nodded along when she planned to put you in a home." He covered his face with his hands. "How can you even look at me? Mom, I don't deserve your forgiveness." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Robert, listen to me." He looked up. "Valerie was clever. She knew exactly how to manipulate you, how to make you feel guilty, how to isolate you from me. But I'm a grown man. I should have seen it. And you did see it. In the end, when it mattered, you chose to do the right thing. You threw Valerie out. You defended me. That counts. Can you forgive me?" I looked into his eyes. I saw the little boy who used to bring me flowers from the garden, the teenager who would hug me after a nightmare, the man who cried in my arms the day we buried his father. I already have son. But now you need to forgive yourself. Robert hugged me and cried like he hadn't since he was a child, and I held him because despite everything, he was still my baby. The smell of his hair reminded me of when he was little and would fall asleep in my arms. But the battle wasn't over. Patrick called that afternoon. "Beatrice, we need to get the jewelry back. The pawn ticket is in Valerie's name, so technically she's the one who has to retrieve them. But she won't do it." "Exactly. So we need to apply pressure. Do you have a way to contact her?" "Robert has her number." "Good. Tell him to call her and say that if the jewelry isn't returned in 3 days, we're filing criminal charges." Robert made the call in front of all of us. Valerie answered on the 3rd ring. "What do you want?" Her voice was bitter. "The jewelry. You have 3 days to get them and return them to my mother, or she presses charges. I don't have the money to get them out of the pawn shop. Then find it, because if they are not here in 3 days, you're going to jail. And I'm not kidding this time." There was a silence. "I hate all of you." She hung up. 2 days later, a package arrived at the house. Inside was my jewelry, the emerald earrings, the pearl necklace, the gold bracelets, the diamond ring. Each piece was wrapped in newspaper carelessly like trash, but they were there. I took the pearl necklace in my hands, and the tears fell freely. They were the pearls my mother gave me on my wedding day, the ones I wore to every important event in my life. "You got them back, Mom," Lauren said, hugging me. "Yes, I got them back, but the most important thing was still missing: the money." Patrick started the legal process to recover the $89,000. Valerie had signed the repayment agreement for 60 days, but we all knew she didn't have that kind of money. She'll have to sell things, borrow, or get a job that allows her to make payments, Patrick explained. But she will pay because if she doesn't, she goes straight to prison. The following weeks were about rebuilding. I had all the locks on the house changed. Robert helped me. I regained control of my bank account. I opened a new one that only I managed. I went back to my book club. Linda greeted me with tears in her eyes. "Beatrice, I thought we'd never see you again." "Me too, but here I am." And I told her everything, her and my other friends. They listened in silence, some with tears, others with outrage. "We should have done more," Linda said. "We should have insisted when we saw something was wrong. It's not your fault." Valerie was a very good liar, but the most important conversation was one I had with Robert one evening. We were in the backyard, the same spot where Ernest used to grill on Sundays. "Mom, I want a divorce." "Are you sure?" "Completely. I can't stay married to someone who did so much harm to my family. To you." "Robert, you don't have to do this for me. I'm doing it for me. Because when I look in the mirror, I don't recognize myself. I became someone Dad would have been ashamed of, and I need to find my way back. Your father loved you, son, and he would be proud that you had the courage to make things right. You think so? I know so." Robert started the divorce proceedings that week. Valerie tried to fight it. She asked for alimony, a share of marital property. But there was nothing. They had lived in my house, on my money. There were no joint assets to divide. The judge ruled in Robert's favor. The divorce was finalized in 4 months, and during that time Valerie started paying me back. $500 the first week, $1,000 the next. They were small amounts, but they were payments. Patrick kept a strict record. "At this rate, it will take her years to pay you back," he told me. "It doesn't matter, as long as she pays." Because the important thing was no longer the money. It was justice. It was knowing that Valerie had lost everything. Her husband, the house, the comfort, the life she tried to steal. And I had gotten back what was mine. My dignity, my family, my peace. 6 months after the confrontation, Robert was still living with me. But it was different now. He cooked, he cleaned, he came with me to the market. He asked for my opinion on everything. He was my son again. One afternoon, as we were having coffee in the backyard, he told me, "Mom, I want you to know I'm going to make up for everything that happened. I'll work double. I'll help you with everything. And when you're no longer here," "Robert, don't talk like that. Let me finish. When you're gone, I'm going to make sure this house, your legacy, everything you and Dad built is respected and honored. It's the least I can do. You're already doing it, son, every day." And it was true. Because the Robert I had now was not the weak, manipulated man from months ago. He was a man who had fallen, yes, but who had learned how to get back up, just like me. The jewelry went back into the safe, but this time I changed the combination, and only I knew it. Because I had learned the hardest lesson of my life. Never ever give your power away to someone else, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you trust them. Your life, your money, your decisions are yours, and no one has the right to take them from you. But the story still had one last chapter. Because 6 months later, I received a call I never expected. 6 months after throwing Valerie out, life had found a quiet rhythm. Robert was working hard. He went to church with me on Sundays. We cooked together. We talked, really talked in a way we hadn't in years. I had my book club back, my friends, my independence. The house felt like a home again. But then the call came. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was watering the plants in the garden when my cell phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Beatrice Miller?" A woman's voice, formal. "Yes, this is she. This is Monica Herrera, from the law firm Herrera & Associates. I represent Mrs. Valerie Ramirez." My hand tightened on the phone. "What does she want?" "My client is requesting a meeting with you. In person. She says it's urgent. I have nothing to say to her. Mrs. Miller, I understand your position, but I assure you it will be worth your while to hear what she has to say. Could you meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. at my office?" Something in her tone made me hesitate. "What is this about? I would prefer my client explain it to you in person. But I can tell you she has a proposal that I believe you'll find interesting. That night I spoke with Patrick. Do you think I should go? Go. But I'm going with you. And don't sign anything until I've reviewed it. Do you think it's a trap?" With Valerie, anything is possible. But if she has a lawyer, it means she wants to do things legally. That's a good sign. The next day, Patrick and I arrived at Ms. Herrera's law firm. It was a modern building in a nice part of town, sleek offices. We were shown into a conference room, and there she was, Valerie. But she was not the same woman who had left my house 6 months ago. She was thin, too thin, dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was unkempt. Her clothes were wrinkled. She looked broken. For a moment I almost felt pity. Almost. Mrs. Miller, Ms. Herrera said, "Thank you for coming. My client requested this meeting because she has a proposal to settle her debt with you. She's making payments. That was the agreement." "I know," Valerie interjected in a low voice, "but at this rate it will take me 8 years to pay you back everything. And I can't live like this for 8 years. You should have thought of that before." Valerie lowered her head. "I know, and you have every right to hate me. I was a monster, a thief, a manipulator, and now you've come to apologize. You think saying I'm sorry fixes everything. No, I know nothing I can say will fix what I did, but I want to try to make it right." Ms. Herrera placed a folder on the table. "My client recently inherited an apartment from her maternal grandmother. It is valued at $90,000. She opened the folder showing deeds appraisals documents. Valerie proposes to sign over this apartment to you as full payment of her debt. The $90,000 covers the $89,000 she owes plus interest and legal fees." Patrick took the documents and began to review them. I looked at Valerie. Why? Why not just sell it and pay me the cash?" Valerie took a deep breath. "Because I need to close this chapter. I need you to forgive me so I can move on with my life. You don't need my forgiveness for anything." "Yes, I do. These past 6 months have been hell. I lost everything. My husband, my home, my reputation. My friends turned their backs on me when they found out what I did." She started to cry for real. "I work 12 hours a day at a call center to pay rent on a miserable little room. I eat once a day. I can't sleep thinking about everything I destroyed." "Good. That's what you deserve." I know. But I swear I have changed. I understand what I did, and every single night I regret it. Regret doesn't bring back the time you stole from me. It doesn't bring back the dignity you took. It doesn't erase the humiliation." Valerie nodded, wiping her tears. "You're right. None of that can be returned. But this apartment is the only thing of value I have left. And I'm giving it to you. All of it. So you know I am truly sorry." Patrick finished reviewing the documents. "Beatrice, everything is in order. The apartment is free of any liens. If you accept, we can make the transfer next week." I looked at the papers, then at Valerie. Part of me wanted to refuse. I wanted her to keep paying for years, to suffer as much as I had suffered. But another part of me was tired of carrying that resentment. "Where is the apartment?" "In a decent neighborhood," the lawyer replied. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It needs work, but it's in a good area." An idea crossed my mind. Robert is getting divorced. He's living with me, but he'll need his own place eventually. Patrick looked at me with understanding. "You could fix up that apartment and give it to him. As a new beginning." I looked at Valerie. "I accept the apartment, but on one condition. Anything. I want you to sign an additional document, one where you acknowledge in writing everything you did. The fraud, the abuse, the lies. Everything. What for? So that if you ever try anything against me or my family again, I will have irrefutable proof." Valerie swallowed hard. "Okay, I'll sign it." Ms. Herrera prepared the document right there. Valerie wrote in her own hand, "I, Valerie Ramirez, acknowledge that I committed fraud and financial abuse against Mrs. Beatrice Miller. I pawned her jewelry without her consent. I withdrew $89,000 from her accounts without authorization. I manipulated and humiliated her for 2 years. I accept full responsibility and guilt. I am ceding the apartment in full compensation and payment of my debt." She signed it with a trembling hand. Then we signed the transfer documents for the apartment. Everything was legalized in less than an hour. When we were done, Valerie just sat there looking at her hands. "Now what? Now you leave. And you never come near my family again. Ever. Do you forgive me?" I stopped at the door and looked at her one last time. "I don't know, Valerie. Maybe someday. But not today. I understand. But I hope you find peace that you learn from this and that you never do this to anyone ever again." I walked out of that office with Patrick. In the elevator, he asked, "Are you okay?" "Yes, because it's finally over. It's really over." A week later, the apartment was transferred into my name. Robert and I went to see it. It was neglected. Yes, it needed paint repairs, love. But it had potential. Mom, do you really want this to be mine? Yes, but on one condition. What's that? You fix it up with your own 2 hands. You work to make it your home. I don't want it to be a handout. I want you to value it. Robert nodded with tears in his eyes. I will, Mom. I promise. And he did. For the next 3 months, Robert worked every weekend on that apartment. He painted the walls, fixed the plumbing, installed new floors. I would help. My other children came to support him. It became a family project. And when it was finished, the apartment was beautiful, modest but cozy, clean, and full of light. It's perfect, Robert said the day we finished. Are you going to move in now? Not yet. If you don't mind, I'd like to stay with you a little longer. This house is where I need to be right now. I'd love that, son. But the important thing was that now we had options. Robert had his own space when he needed it, and I had my house back, completely mine. No debts, no thieves, no manipulators, just mine. One afternoon, as I was organizing my jewelry in the safe, Robert came into my room. Mom, something came for you. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. Mrs. Miller, I don't expect you to read this letter. You'll probably tear it up as soon as you see my name, but I needed to write it. I've spent these past months in therapy trying to understand why I did what I did, why I was so cruel to someone who only showed me kindness. My therapist says I was carrying a lot of resentment from my own childhood, that I projected my anger onto you, that I treated you the way my own mother treated me. It's not an excuse, it's just an explanation. I want you to know that I live every day with the shame of what I did, and that if I could go back in time, I would do everything differently. Thank you for not putting me in jail. Thank you for giving me a chance to repay my debt. And most of all, thank you for teaching me the most important lesson of my life, that dignity cannot be bought, it cannot be sold, and it cannot be stolen. You never lost your dignity, Mrs. Miller, not even when I tried to take it from you. I hope one day I can look in the mirror and feel a fraction of the pride you must feel. With respect and regret, Valerie. I folded the letter slowly. Robert was watching me expectantly. What does it say? That she learned her lesson. And that's all I needed. I put the letter in a drawer. I didn't tear it up. Because despite all the harm Valerie did, a part of me wanted to believe that people can change, that mistakes can teach us, that even the worst falls can lead to rising stronger, like what happened to me. Today, a year after that terrible afternoon in front of the empty safe, I wake up in my house. My house. Sunlight streams through my bedroom window. I hear birds in the garden. I smell the coffee Robert is making in the kitchen. And I smile. Because this is peace. I get up and look at the photograph of Ernest on my nightstand. Good morning, my love. Today is a special day. Today I turn 69. But this birthday will be very different from the last one. I go downstairs to find the living room decorated with balloons. My 4 children are there. Lauren flew in from Denver, Charles from Nashville, Patricia from Austin, and Robert is standing by the table with a homemade cake. Happy birthday, Mom. The tears come on their own, but they are tears of joy. My children, all together. Lauren hugs me first. We weren't going to miss your birthday, Mom. Never again. We spend the day like a real family. We cook together. We laugh. We remember stories from when they were kids. There is no tension, no secrets, no manipulation, just love. In the afternoon, Linda arrives with the other women from the book club. They bring gifts wrapped in colorful paper, flowers, genuine hugs. Beatrice, you look radiant. It's because I'm free, finally free. That night, after everyone has gone home, Robert and I sit in the backyard. The same chairs where Ernest and I used to have coffee every Sunday. Mom, there's something I want to tell you. Tell me, son. I met someone. My heart gives a little leap. A woman. He nods nervously. Her name is Andrea. She's a teacher. I met her at the gym 3 months ago. She's different. Different how honest, simple. She works hard for her students. She doesn't care about money or appearances. She just is a good person. I smile. I would love to meet her. Really, I thought after Valerie, you wouldn't want me to bring anyone else here. Robert, not everyone is like Valerie, and you deserve to be happy. You deserve real love. But I'm taking it slow. I'm not going to rush this time. I'm going to get to know her well, and if it ever gets serious, you'll be the first to meet her, and your opinion will matter. That's my boy. We sit in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Mom, did you ever really forgive Valerie? I think about the question. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting Robert, and it doesn't mean what she did was okay. It means letting go of the weight of resentment so that I can live in peace. And have you let it go? Most of it, yes. Some days it still hurts to remember. But I don't hate her anymore. That's progress. Robert nods. I don't hate her either. But I learned so much from that horrible experience. What did you learn? That real love doesn't make you feel small. It helps you grow. That a real partner supports you. They don't control you. And that I always, always have to listen to my gut. Because deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I was just too scared to admit it. That's the most valuable lesson of all, son. The following months bring beautiful changes. Robert finally moves into his apartment, the one we fixed up together, but he comes to visit 3 times a week. We have dinner, we talk, we maintain our connection. And when I met Andrea, I understood why Robert was so smitten. She was a woman with warm eyes and a genuine smile. She spoke to me with respect, but not with falseness. She asked about my life, my hobbies, my stories. And when she left, I told Robert, "Now that is a good woman, son." Lauren, Charles, and Patricia visit more often, too. We take turns. 1 month, Lauren and her family come the next. Charles, then Patricia. My house is once again filled with grandchildren, with children's laughter, with life. I've reclaimed my routines. I go to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings. I buy my fresh vegetables, my sweet pastries, my flowers for the living room. On Thursdays, I religiously attend my book club. We're reading 100 Years of Solitude now. We discuss each chapter with passion. On Sundays, I go to church. I light a candle for Ernest. I talk to him in silence, telling him everything that's happened. I did it, my love. I got our house back. I got our family back. And I feel, in some unexplainable way, that he hears me, that he's proud. One day, a year and a half after everything happened, I get an unexpected call. It's Ms. Herrera, Valerie's lawyer. "Mrs. Miller, I'm just calling to inform you that Valerie has moved to Santa Fe. She got a job as an administrative assistant at an elementary school." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she asked me to pass along a message, that she's rebuilding her life, that she's still in therapy, and that she thinks of you with gratitude, as strange as that sounds." Gratitude. She says you taught her that actions have consequences, that you could have destroyed her legally, but you gave her a chance to redeem herself, and that saved her. I hang up the phone and just think. I don't feel satisfaction or resentment, just acceptance. Valerie has her path. I have mine, and that's okay. Today, as I water the plants in the garden, I stop in front of the rose bush Ernest planted 30 years ago. It's in full bloom, red roses, vibrant, full of life. I cut one and bring it inside. I place it in a vase in the living room, and I think about the entire journey, about the woman I was, scared alone, manipulated, and the woman I became. Strong, independent, dignified. The jewelry is in the safe, secure, protected, but I no longer need it to feel valuable, because I learned that my true worth isn't in objects. It's in my strength, in my ability to get back up after being knocked down, in my ability to forgive without forgetting, in my dignity, which no one ever again will be able to take from me. Robert is spending the evening with Andrea. They invite me to dinner with them. It's a simple meal at a neighborhood restaurant, but it's filled with genuine conversation, with laughter, with mutual respect. I see the way Robert looks at Andrea, with admiration, with tenderness, with real love, not with the fear and guilt he used to look at Valerie with, and I know that my son has finally healed, just like me. That night back in my house, I sit in the living room with a cup of tea. I look around, the furniture I fought so hard to keep, the pictures of my family on the walls, the quiet silence of a peaceful home. And I think of all the women who are going through what I went through, the ones being manipulated by family, the ones who are afraid of being alone, the ones who believe they no longer have value because they've gotten older. And I want to tell them it is never too late to reclaim your dignity. You are never too old to fight for yourself. Family love does not excuse abuse. Your life is yours. Your money is yours. Your decisions are yours. And if someone makes you feel small, insignificant, or useless, walk away. Because you deserve respect. You deserve true love. You deserve peace. My recovered jewels glitter in their safe, but they shine less brightly than the light I now carry inside me. The light of a woman who fell and rose stronger. The light of a grandmother who took back her kingdom. The light of Beatrice Miller, 69 years old, widow mother, grandmother survivor, warrior free. And as I turn off the lights to go to sleep, I whisper one last thing. Thank you, Ernest, for teaching me to be strong, for leaving me this house, for loving me so much that even after you were gone, your love protected me. I close my eyes, and I sleep in peace, because finally, after the hardest storm of my life, I found the sun. And this sun, no one will ever take from me again. The end. This story changed me forever. I learned that age does not define your strength, that loneliness does not justify allowing abuse, that respect is not begged for, it is demanded. If this story touched your heart, if you identified with any part of it, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, leave me a comment. Tell me, where are you reading this from? What lesson did you take away? Because in the end, the most valuable things we have are not material jewels. It is the priceless jewel of our own dignity. And that is something no one can steal from you unless you let them.